Working with Xcode and the Swift package manager. So why would you actually do that is one of the questions today, and how to actually do it. So first, a short thing about me and how to find the slides afterwards is my name is Jens Ravens. I'm also organizing this meetup, but most of the time I'm working as a developer at a company called Nerdgeschoss, where we do a lot of Swift things, and one of those things is getting ready for Swift on Linux. So why should you actually use Xcode for development if you're not developing an iOS app? Well, the first thing is, of course, autocompletion. You're using all those nice libraries, and of course you want to have some autocompletion which is not that great in Sublime or whatever else tool you might be using. We have static code analysis. So you get most of your errors actually before you even try to compile. So while you type all your stuff, you get actual results. And there's a debugger as well. Well, some of you might have seen this post about doing your own IDE in Sublime with Swift. That was pretty much featured a few weeks ago. So you can have, of course, a debugger without Xcode, but the Xcode debugger is a pretty nice one, so why shouldn't we use it? And of course, a day without an Xcode crash is wasted time. So if you need some time to, well, maybe some time for yourself, just install Xcode. You will have some crashes and some waiting, so it's just so much fun, so why shouldn't we use that as well? So what do we need to actually use Swift and the new Swift package manager together with Xcode? One thing is, that's more like a recommendation, is Swift environment, or swift-env for short. It's mostly like Ruby-env, if someone else did Ruby development before, or Node-env is there as well. It's a tool developed by Carl Fuller, which is just taking care of all your Swift dependencies on your development machine. So if you're developing for Swift 2.2 and 3.0 and all the versions in between, swift-env will definitely help you. So you can just switch between different versions and install the correct version you actually want to use. Also, you want to use Xcode 7.3 because that has tool chain switching built inside. So if you want to switch tool chains while developing, Xcode 7.3 will be helpful as well. Currently, it's only in beta, but I think it should be released pretty soon. So if you need like a special version of Xcode or the actual Swift inside Xcode, you can just use Swift environment to install it. So now that we have our dependencies and we have our nice project built in Swift with the Swift package manager, how do we actually integrate it? Well, you create a project somewhere else, you move it over to your Swift project, and then you configure it in there. So first you create a command line application, because that's how you run Swift applications so far. You copy it to a project folder. Next one is you install all your dependencies on the command line. You add the header files, which have been generated for you. You add a script phase, which will just update your dependencies and make everything all right for Xcode. And in the end, you add all your static libraries to your project, so it actually links as well and not just only compiles. And in the end, of course, you have fun. So just to show it a little bit better is here a short demo. So I have here a project, a command line application, which I just, let's just change it here. Okay, so we have here a command line application inside of Xcode. This command line application doesn't do anything from itself. I just created it in another project. I moved it to my Swift file. So just to prove it, here we have our Swift on To-Do app. It's just a basic Swift application built on the Swift on Rails server. So for those who haven't heard about that, Swift on Rails is a new project which is built on the Nest specification for server apps. So you can actually build your web app in Swift. So we have our regular thing. We have our sources, we have our packages, and we have our package.swift. And of course, we also have our Xcode project. Everything I've done so far is just adding our files to the project, adding all the .a files. I can show you how that goes as well. So under build phases, first thing as you remember is you add the build script. It's pretty easy. You just add Swift build in here. Then you add all your dependencies, which you do here. So you click on other dependencies, you go into your project file, show the hidden files, and inside the build directory, you find all the static libraries that Swift build did generate for you. So you can add them as well. So now everything is almost there. And now the most important part is for the actual completion to work, you need, of course, header files, which are just down here at the bottom, where you just add your library. So I hope it's, well, I guess it's kind of small, but you're just pointing it to your build.debug library. So everything you've built so far will be just added to your project. And now let's just do a short run over here. So now that we have our Swift on imported here, now we can just work like in every other regular Xcode project. So if we want to create a new list item, we can just use complete autocompletion from our packages over here. And not only that, but we can also invoke it here to get our whole Swift build deployment running, which actually just works by default. And in the end, we even get our server inside of the debugger running here, so we can just put breakpoints in our code and just develop like everyone else does on Xcode, but with the Swift package manager. So for those of you who haven't followed or when it was a little bit too fast, all that stuff is also on a blog post. So let's switch back. So all of that is also on a blog post from a really awesome guy who did a lot about integration testing in Xcode bots. So he wrote this thing. It's also linked on the website of swift.berlin. So there you can just find the link and try it yourself. So it's pretty awesome to really have a great IDE to develop applications which run on Linux and OS X. And that's actually it for me for today. So any questions? Okay. I'll take that as a no.